We're rolling. Sam,
Great.
thanks for being here.
You bet, Tim. Good to be here.
Howdy Bozeman. What is it? What do you do? How'd you start? Take that question and go wherever you want with
The
it.
works. Yeah. Well, I think the name it might have come in a dream. It might not, but it sort of made its way into my head a couple years ago, and wanted to build something like it, and just kept putting it off. Like literally, I live and die by legal pads for writing notes of stuff of like checklists and getting things done during the day. I no joke, probably, and it's something where I'd refresh it every single day and rewrite a list. And for probably a year straight, I had a line item there that said "Start Howdy Bozeman," and I'd keep crossing it off because I wouldn't start it, and then I'd tear off the page and go to the next day and write it down again, "Start Howdy Bozeman." And this just happened again and again and again, and it kind of got to a point last year where I just, you know what? Let's just send it. Let's just get it started. It doesn't need to be perfect because that had been a trend for me, I think, for most of my life, was thinking I've got to get it perfect in my mind first before I actually just start it. And yeah, just kind of decided enough was enough, and it was time to get it out into the world, and shipped it, and just got started with it. And it's grown and evolved into something really fantastic over the last year or so. We just turned one a week ago, so
Congrats.
which is really exciting.
Very
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah.
It feels cool to have that badge of honor now. I've got 1 year in business, so no, but absolutely loving it. And what it is really also a local media company that does things differently to you, but I think we have a similar sort of philosophy and mission behind what we're doing, of wanting to showcase and celebrate all the amazing things that are happening in town, great people doing great things all over Bozeman, and really shining a light and attention on them in a way that shows off just how incredible people here are. Because, you know, I love listening to your podcast just because you get to hear these stories in depth of all these people who are doing amazing work all over the valley, and I love it, and I'm doing my own version of that, and with a focus on events too, because it's really important for me with Howdy to be doing my part to build stronger communities in Bozeman, help our economy thrive, and just I also just love connecting with people and getting to hear about their stories and support them in their businesses and their art and their journeys. And that's kind of a little bit about Howdy Bozeman.
To back all the way up to where you said wanting it to be perfect before you started, I would say, at least for myself personally, the perfection happens through the process of the doing. So it's a it's ironic that a lot of people think that, myself included, it's got to be perfect before I start, but starting in the process and the journey is where everything's sharpened and honed. And maybe it'll never be perfect, but it'll be a hell of a lot better a year in than it was when you started, and that can continue. So I think that is a hurdle that stops a lot of people, myself included, with plenty of things. But if you just start, you start to get a knack for it. You meet more people doing what you're doing. You start to hone things in, and then perfection is found somewhere along that journey. Maybe never really, but you're always closer to that
Yeah,
perfection. So
absolutely. And yeah, I've totally found the same thing. And I think for anyone who wants to do something entrepreneurial or creative or just different from something that's already established and set out for you, it's, it can be kind of scary because you want to, you come up with a great idea and you want to put it out into the world, but just when you're not used to or don't have a lot of experience, just building something, you're literally building something from scratch that does not exist and trying to make it into something that does exist in a really beautiful, meaningful, impactful way for people. And there's no roadmap for that. And so I think there is some sort of, I don't know, it's very easy to, especially as someone who used to be in my head a lot, it's very, very easy to stay stuck up there and try to craft it and plan and prepare and do so much to avoid actually just doing the thing and getting started. That no, you're spot on. I found the same thing of just the actual process of building something and making it, and being okay with making a ton of mistakes on the way too, where even just 3 months ago, I look at some of the stuff I'd put out, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And it's
Yeah.
so much better now. And that's just part of it, is what I'm learning. So yeah, no, spot on. And it's cool to get to build something special here. So
To that, I feel almost bad when I wanna share an early episode with somebody because I
mhm,
know the audio quality is so bad, and that was my biggest thing when I started this was, who cares if the video is terrible? Who cares? But at least if you can listen to it and it doesn't drive you crazy. And when I do listen to some of the original ones, they drive me crazy
sure.
because the audio quality, I have it pretty dialed now to where it really sounds good quality. So whether you're watching the video or not, and there's a new camera sitting over there.
Hmm.
Eventually here we'll be at a multicam, which will be fun.
Awesome.
But it's my thought was just get the repetition, keep getting it out, let it become what it's going to become. But yeah, there's a different element of when you're doing any type of media or something recorded, because
Hmm.
not only is it all the tough learning pains in the beginning,
Yep.
but it's, in your case or mine, it's a public, you're publicly displaying and broadcasting the entire journey.
Yep.
Huge value in that when you can look back and see it, but also, yeah, you gotta humble yourself and be able to just throw stuff out there and have it be terrible
Yeah.
and be okay with that. Hi, folks. Quick note from me. If you don't already know, the goal of Mountain Mule Media is to build real connections between Montana's businesses and the people they serve. If you don't know what Mountain Mule is, we provide private transportation services and Yellowstone National Park tours. If this episode or any other has given you something worth thinking about, smiling at, or passing along, I've got a small ask. Share it with a friend, text it to someone, or consider following the show. Whether you're using our services directly or following and sharing the show, those simple actions help these businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this show keep going. It also helps our business keep running as well. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses, local jobs, and this beautiful state. Now back to the show.
I've had a lot of humbling since I started, especially when you can see a mistake that was really silly and small, and you're like, "Dang, what were you doing?" But yeah, you figure it out. You get better. You improve.
Do you know how long the crossing out the list thing, that how long did that go before you actually did start? Was that years? Was it
Oh,
months?
so I'd bought the web domain howdybozeman.com back in summer of 2024 and didn't start till early last year.
Okay.
So, a good almost a year of literally putting this on my list either every day or at least every single week, and just kept crossing it off to where it got to the point where some weeks I just wouldn't even put it on because I'm like, my list is too big this week. I can't get to it, but I will get to it the next week, and just promising myself I would, and just not getting going with it. And yeah, it almost discouraged me from actually just getting it started because I'd seen myself be like, make it such not a priority for myself to start it. And yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't actually really remember why I decided to just start it one day. And I think it was just getting over that mentally of, you know what? Like, no one's even going to really see this when I start because they have no audience when you're just getting something going. So, if it's just for me, I think I'll be okay if I just get it out and start.
Did you mention there was something to do with a dream that ignited this?
I feel like with the name or just the whole thing or,
Either or both?
yeah, I think the name itself might have happened in a dream. I'm not going to put that on the record as a
Uh,
definite thing. But it is something where, it did just kind of strike me one day and I thought, this sounds really fun. Like, I love that for a name because it is, howdy's just a great greeting, like to give anyone, I think. And it's fun, it's friendly, um I've never heard someone say howdy to someone and they've been like grumpy or angry or upset. No one's like, howdy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always like, howdy, what's up? So I love just kind of the spirit and attitude of even just the word as a greeting, and felt like that tied really perfectly to sort of my vision for what I wanted to build a local media company into. So
I wonder what the origin of Howdy is. I don't have a producer here to look things up on the fly,
you
but
know, we
I
need someone over there. Yeah.
yeah, I'd be curious to know the origin. It seems very Western in some senses.
Yeah.
When you think the West, you just think howdy partner. It's a
Right.
very much a cowboy Western thing, but I
Mhm.
wonder, I'd imagine there's probably a lot more to the phrase than that.
Yeah, probably. You know, with that as half of my half of Howdy Bozeman's name, I should probably look that up. I'm good on what the Bozeman part means.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, a friend of mine, Jeff, I don't know if you know him. He owns Bozeman right on.
Oh
He
yeah, we just met the other week
Yeah, and
actually.
he
Yeah.
he did the podcast a while back, and we become friends through that. And it's
Mhm.
funny because he talked a lot about different dreams, having different dreams that ignited a lot of what he's doing now.
Mhm.
And I had it in a similar way. It was a little bit of a dream slash I was waking up half asleep, which I don't know where or why the weirdest ideas and things come to you then, but if you sometimes pay attention to them and you never know why the idea came to you or where it came from, but it can be interesting. So that's why I was curious about the dream and not to go down a complete rabbit hole, but
Yeah. No, I mean a lot of fun stuff happens up there. I feel like a lot of my I've I feel like a lot of my better ideas actually will happen in the evening when I'm asleep here and it's almost before bed because I'm not trying to force things or force myself to think of things. And you know, just when you're winding down, less so in the morning, even when you're in that kind of similar like rousing state.
yeah.
Something about the evening, I don't know what that is. If there's some special powers of the moon or something, but I do think yeah, there's something to it of when you're just a little bit more relaxed and have kind of dealt with what you need to do during the day, your mind can almost relax and let things bubble up that are interesting and fun and different. And um, I think, you know, I was curious on your side too of if your idea with the podcast was something that felt like a really like, oh, I've got to do this. Like when you first had the idea, because I'd felt like that with Howdy, and even though I kept putting it off, I knew really deeply in myself, like I've got at some point I've got to do this. Like it feels like just the right thing to do, and like it could be really great. And you know, I put it off for way too long, but I just felt in my bones like something was there with it, even just when I kind of conceptualized it. I'm curious if that was similar for you with the podcast piece too.
Yeah, so me and a buddy did a podcast prior to Mountain Mule podcast, and I'd been asking myself for so long, how can I mesh this with my business? How can they coexist?
Yep.
Because I feel like I'm running two things separately that could just work together. And I woke up one morning and the idea was in my head. I had no idea where it came from, but I just started spitting out, oh, you know what I could do is have all these different local businesses on, and I could build better relationships with the community. And we we're really a glorified concierge in a lot of ways because a lot of our clients are coming from out of town and they want to talk to the local company and figure out what to do. And my thought was, if I can build these connections with these people, I'll be so much more resourceful and it'll be such a value add to the community.
Yeah.
At the same time, every business that comes on here, I can do promotion for. So what a fun give back to the community. So as soon as I had that thought, I shared it with my fiance that morning.
Hmm.
And she was looking at me like she appropriately should have, probably a little bit crazy because I was wondering, yeah, this probably sounds crazy
Sure.
because it's weird when you're going to take a random idea and associate it with an established business because then it's not just my personal reputation, it's also my business reputation.
Hmm.
But I don't know, I felt very compelled and then it became so much more than I thought it would. I realized it actually gave new meaning to the entire business because now we are at our core a huge part of our community, and to be able to give back to the entire community, even if most of our clients are, very high net worth people, that doesn't exclude everyone else in the community from being a part of this business in one way or the other. So it gave new meaning, which I didn't expect,
Hmm.
and it just gave breath to a whole new purpose for the entire company. So yeah, I very much felt compelled to do it. It was very uncomfortable to start it. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, do you want to be a guest on my podcast?" I haven't actually you'll actually be the first guest, and I haven't actually published any, but just hear me out.
Hear me out. Yeah.
And some people with some very established businesses took a chance, and it kind of speaks back to Bozeman and the type of leaders and business owners we have here that they might be like, "What is this guy thinking? Is he out of his mind?" But I'm gonna take a chance. I'll sit down with him. What's the worst that could happen? And it's at this point I've had so many people on and done so many episodes. I now have credibility, but I definitely didn't for a while. So I think, yeah, to answer your question in a long roundabout way, I felt very compelled to do it as soon
Mhm.
as I thought about it, and it's been a very fun journey.
Yeah. I think those are the best ones. And I actually don't know what you did before you started doing your business piece plus this, but on my side, I truly do, like, compared to Howdy and how much of a right fit it feels for me. I totally underestimated how powerful that could be for just your not just your excitement and energy for your work, but your entire life, where it pours out into everything else that you're doing, into your relationships, um into just all your time, and how you interact with people, how you show up for yourself, and just how you move through life feels totally different when it's something that feels really meaningful and powerful and fun and interesting. So yeah, I feel like we're both very lucky getting to do what we're doing,
Yeah.
and to yeah do something that just feels very compelling. And yeah, I don't like. What's your sort of long-term vision for it? Do you want to be doing this as long as you're in Bozeman, pretty much?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more because when I started to align true purpose and meaning with the business, it started to feel like I have an unlimited fuel source because
Yeah,
I don't have to. There's plenty of work that has to get done. Don't get me wrong, and I'm
yeah,
not going to say that it hasn't been a lot of hard work, but there's something pulling me now, and it's not. I don't have to beat the hell out of myself to do this. And I just feel compelled and driven by what we could accomplish as a team and myself individually if I keep going on this route. So I don't see, I think there'll be pivots and variations depending on, what does the market show me? What does it seem like the community needs? But I, I feel very compelled and just driven in a way that I wasn't even when I started doing I was kind of losing like some of the business was losing its lust because it wasn't attached to the meaning. And
yeah.
I don't care who you are, how much money you make. Maybe there's a certain amount of money that that people would say, yeah, actually, but I think at
Yep.
some point it runs stagnant and you just
Mhm.
can't be driven solely by a bunch of money.
Yeah. No, I loved. I literally got chills when you said the thing of like tapping into this sort of unlimited fuel source. Because I feel the same way with Howdy, where how I describe it to a lot of people is it feels like I have a whole nother person's worth of energy and drive and excitement of doing something that does just feel so aligned with me, and ways that I can serve people who live in Bozeman and our town. And it's night and day difference versus kind of forcing yourself to get up and go through the motions, and getting stuff done, and being able to being able to have that piece where there's real purpose and mission behind what you're doing too. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
Yeah, and I've noticed too with with the transportation company, and it just keeps opening up more doors to more things we can accomplish, more meaning, more purpose. And I've got too many ideas right now, so I'm focusing on the right ones.
Yep.
This is a part of it, but it's fun. I think I said it to my fiance. It's just my fuel source is limitless,
Yep.
and it's fun, and I advise it to everyone. And as someone who didn't know what that driving force was for a long time, it does not just show up one day. But if you do enough and you keep working hard and you keep going towards what feels right, because this just felt like the right thing to do. I think that can a lot of times be the reward for hard work and just listening to yourself.
Hmm. And in your case, a literal driving force.
Yeah, yeah. So where are you from originally?
Yeah. So I grew up between England and Montana. My
Okay.
mom is English, my dad is American, and he's had family in Montana for a long time now. So grew up between both those places, which was really interesting. Getting to experience both sides of that, and we permanently moved and settled in Bozeman in 2008.
Okay.
And went through high school, went through MSU, and have pretty much been here since.
I can pick up the lightest of the accent. I was like, there's something there, so I know.
Yeah, yeah, I've got a bit of a mutt accent, but no, it's interesting because at this point I've lived considerably more of my life in Montana than England, and my identity feels rooted in being someone who's from Montana. It feels like Montana just feels like my home,
Yeah.
to the point where even when I've gone back and visited, I think 2 or 3 times since we moved here in 2008, whenever I've gone back there since, I've felt like I've been leaving my home, which is really interesting. But um, Montana and Bozeman specifically feels like the place that has shaped and raised me, and it made me who I've become, to where literally my life's purpose and what I feel like is my life's work is building something that celebrates and makes Bozeman a more connected, fun, even more wonderful place to live for people who live here. And I think that really speaks to just how special this place is. And even with all the changes, just how much more and how many more good things can come and can be built here. And Bozeman's my favorite place in the world, like hands down.
That's very cool to hear you say that. So it's funny because it was right around 2008 ish. First time I came here, my older sister graduated from MSU, and of all I've lived on both sides of the country and different places in between.
Hmm.
It's the only place I've ever came to, and I realized this pretty early on when I moved here, is I wasn't thinking about the next place I would move. It kind of felt like, I'd reached everywhere else felt like a layover. And it just felt like a destination. There was no the thoughts, just the way I was thinking was different because, yeah, in a couple of years, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And it was very much everything else was a kind of a layover to the next phase or chapter of life. And
Yeah.
I think that's what draws people here, in my opinion. There's something in the air. They're just in the way people treat people. And
Hmm.
I think to you celebrating what's going on here, different events, the businesses, the people, similar to Mountain Mule, that I I love when that stuff's highlighted and the amount of feedback we get from clients from out of town and local, just about the way they felt when they were here. And
Hmm.
I think that's the core is the way they felt. And that's a result of the way they were treated, from the time they got off the airplane to the time they got back on the airplane.
Hmm.
And that's why I think it's so important to point out and celebrate and work with people that unanimously agree that we can make this a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that too, of holding on to and really protecting the things that have made it such a great place too. Of as like Bozeman is, and the whole valley has some really crazy growth projected for. I think from like some of the recent county reports I've seen, I think by 2045, Bozeman is expected to reach 110,000 people. In the Gallatin Valley, I think is going to be closer to 400 to 450,000 people. And I think that's about double what it is now, and that's expected by 2045. So,
Yeah,
um,
next 20 years.
yeah, so yeah, which sounds wild thinking about that now, and I think that's something I think about a lot just as I'm building Howdy. Of we have such an interesting and fantastic mix of folks who live here, and yeah, I want to do all that I can for celebrating everything that makes it special and continuing to highlight the things that have made it like that, to be a place that people want to come and settle and become a part of in the first place too. So
It's a it's a real interesting dilemma, I guess
mhm,
I'll call it, of, Yeah, how do you have growth and that balance? And then you see as a business owner, there's these financial opportunities for everyone or a lot of people. And then how do you, take advantage of those opportunities if you're a business owner, but also not get lost in those financial opportunities that you forget what this place is and what it was built on. And it becomes a moral thing for so many people, I think.
Yeah.
So
How do you feel like you wrestle with that?
I think I do a good job, and it's always a learning because it's just always a learning experience, and I could always do better, but it's for me, it's always been coming back to what are my core values as an individual? What values do I want the company to embody? How do we want to be? How do we want to show up? And even doing this podcast, because what do you
Yeah.
do when somebody says like, "Hey, would you let me talk about this? I want to come talk about this." And what if I don't believe in what they're doing? And then what if I have to say no? And then what if somebody does an episode and I think it's, oh man, this is a personal decision, but what if I think this is a terrible episode for the community? And now I have to do something really uncomfortable. And then that's just the
Mhm.
emotionally uncomfortable stuff. Then what if somebody says, oh, what we're going to do is probably really not good for the community, but I'm going to give your company this $500,000 contract. And then you got to sit there and that becomes a hard choice because then so I think those are the choices that a lot of people are faced with that are in business in this valley, and it's because in some senses it's a gold rush. There's so much opportunity here. There's so much stuff being built, and how do you? I don't. Have you dealt with that yourself with Howdy Bozeman, or have you been in those kind of moral conflicts?
Yeah, I don't know about moral conflicts yet, fortunately, but
Just wait.
it is interesting of how some things are packaged when they're sent of when someone wants help getting the word out about something because my whole attitude with what I want to do with Howdy is have it be something where I'm not trying to I'm not trying to have it be something that is identity less and that doesn't have its own set of values and mission because it has very strong values and mission for
Mhm.
me. And I think at the core of that, of what I'm really trying to build, is something that is special just for anyone who lives here. And that's really my focus. So I wouldn't even call it a moral dilemma. I feel like there are a ton of folks doing great work for who show off Bozeman in a beautiful light for attracting people to come and visit and for the tourism industry. And I think that's great and has a good impact on the town. And it's just not personally where my interest is. Like my interest is for whether you've lived here for a couple of hours or whether you've lived here your whole life. I'm trying to build Howdy into something that just serves people who lives in Bozeman and can help distribute information and let people know about really cool stuff that's happening all the time. Like it is wild. We're in March and there are 20, 30 different things happening every weekend. Even during the week, it is insane to where I try to go to as many events as I can too. And there are so many, even during the slow season, like it's not even busy season yet. And it is already just Bozeman's just it's got it hopping. Stuff's going on, and I think my general focus and what I keep trying to come back to as my North Star for how I build it and run it and grow it is thinking at the top of my mind, my real North Star is how can I continue to build this into something that serves people who live here, whether they have just got here, whether they've lived here for forever, whether they can whether a lot of whether things happening in town are more or less accessible to them. I want to provide something that just ultimately serves everyone who's here and helps build a stronger community and economy for everyone who lives here. And I think that that will probably continue to feel challenging as Bozeman continues to grow. Again, this town doubling in 20 years sounds crazy. Um, and it's just it's a great, really golden time to be living here too for a lot of folks, and plenty of challenges too. And I think the more that we can all kind of work together and collaborate on building things for people who live here, the better off we can all be. So
I agree completely. And, in a world of social media influencers and big podcasts all over the world, my thought, hope, and emphasis was on local because it's really fun when I listen to a podcast, and I've listened to podcasts for a long time, and I would say I owe, a lot of credit to all the information I've learned on podcasts, who has helped me become as a person because it's opened my mind and my perspective very broadly upon the mind and perspective you have when you're raised in a town of 1,500 people. And that's great. And it's really cool to hear from these different people all over the world. But when you can hear from people that you could then run into the next day or go to their business, and you otherwise you might never hear that whole story.
yep,
You never know the why. Why did they start? What did they do? And you kind of look at them as, well, there's another person. But it's for me personally, I can just say I'm so much more I'm so much closer to this community because I know
yep,
the people here. I can support their business indirectly by publishing their episode, and then directly by sending clients there, by bringing my clients there, and that feels like a real community. So that's why my thoughts always been it's local here. All the business owners live here. All the podcasts are in person. It's really funny because I have one on the schedule next week that's not in person, and I haven't even done one yet. It's a guy that I worked for when I was younger, and I'll still have to decide if I want to publish it. But it could be it'd be cool to share a little bit more of my story. And he does have a pretty cool business on the other side of the country. But even then, I'm thinking, man, I don't know, that's a little off brand. I want to keep it local, so I don't.
yeah,
To be determined if I publish it or not.
hmm
But I think it's so needed and so valuable because we're taking what's gone crazy, which is social media, and we're bringing what you're doing specifically, and what I'm working on doing too is bringing it back to the real community.
yep,
If it can be a sort of a segue to more community connection, great. But if you just get lost doom scrolling all day and you feel disconnected from the world, that's where it can be real problematic for people.
hmm yeah. Local is so exciting to me. And again, I don't think it hurts that we live where we do,
Yeah.
where there is an abundance of, and I say this to everyone, but it really is. It is wild to live in a place with so many smart, kind, talented, creative, brilliant people doing really interesting and wildly different things. And that feels like a constant source of inspiration for me too, because I'm like, oh my goodness, we're all surrounded by people with incredible abilities and dreams and goals and things that they're building and working on. Like I just last night got to hear Natalie, who found she'd be a cool guest. I don't know if you've had for the founder of Treeline Coffee.
No, but I've people have mentioned, so
Awesome.
yeah.
She'd be a great guest for you to have on. But just got to hear her talking about what that was like of building that from scratch, just from her love of coffee and visiting this Colombian coffee farm, and taking that excitement and ideas that she'd had and bringing that to Bozeman, and building a really great established coffee spot in town is so cool. And people like that are everywhere in this valley. So local is so exciting to me because you're right. It's someone that you can talk with on something like this one day and then see him at the grocery store or just on a hike the next day, just around town. And I think that is incredibly exciting and exhilarating, and something that really just lights me up too. And it's part of why I'm so stoked with all the work I'm doing with Howdy. Is, again, I feel like we live in the best place in the world. I feel like we have the best people in the world here, and I view my job as just, I want to highlight them and celebrate them. And how lucky are we to do that?
I could not agree more. Two things came to mind just in you saying that because I believe it's Treeline, but don't quote me on this. Amanda started Sky Oro, which is a women's co-working space in the Cannery District, and I believe it was someone with Treeline, but I could be wrong. So, but there was some founding members and someone from, let's just say it's Treeline, and hope I'm right. They basically said that they would donate coffee to the co-working space for I don't know for how long, but there's always coffee there. I believe it's Treeline,
Yep.
and that's just seeing, as you bring someone up, I think, oh, I know how they're connected to another business, and
Yep.
then when you said a hiking trail, another woman, Kelly Ramirez, met her, passed by her briefly, met her on a trailhead because we found a loose horse on the trailhead. She sent a message a few weeks later on LinkedIn because she saw a clip from the podcast and recognized my Mountain Mule hat and was said, "Oh, hey, I think I saw you on the trailhead with the horse." And I was like, "Oh yeah." And then I was looking at her LinkedIn profile. I was like, "Hey, your business sounds pretty cool. Why don't you come to a podcast?" And that's just seeing that connection with the community, and that it's so it just never stops the way everyone's connected and the way we're a bigger community, and to be able to have people put it together. And I know you're saying the emphasis on locals. I have just as much of an emphasis on people coming from out of town because that's a large part of our clients. And I think if they can have a better experience before they come here, they can also have a little bit of a better respect. And at the same time, hopefully go support these local businesses. So it becomes a win-win for people traveling through and people here, and ultimately, hopefully makes better interaction between people not from here and people from here and everyone in between, because that topic can have some contention sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, I love the trail story.
It's
that's
funny. Yeah.
that's so fun. And I'd had something literally just I'll share this because it's just happened yesterday too, where um I just finished chatting with someone at Ghost Town Coffee. The one on there's now 3 of those, by the
Yeah.
way. I would shout out to Ghost Town and Treeline and all the coffee in town. It's all great, powering this town for sure. And I just finished meeting with someone there and was walking back to my car. And then one of my buddies, Jacob, who runs a business called Breadbox, he makes the most fantastic bread. Um, he's just driving down the street and rolled his windows down and said, "Hey Sam, I just sent you a Instagram message 20 minutes ago. Uh, hope you get to check it out today." And I was like, "Do you want to drive me to my car that's 1 minute away?" And this is in the middle of the road
Yeah. Yeah.
on Olive Street, I think. And I ran around real quick, got in his car, and he drove me to my car, and we just talked about this. Just a couple ideas he's had that he just wanted some feedback on, and we're going to be doing something together too. But just for stuff like that, where you can run into people that out and about, and just very quickly have so many cool things and opportunities happen and stem from that. It's amazing. It's so fun and kind of magical, honestly, when stuff like that happens, or running into someone on a trail,
Yeah.
connecting on LinkedIn a couple weeks later, and then having a great podcast out of it. I think I'd watched that one too. It was a really good one.
Yeah.
So no, it's so special to get to have experiences like that.
If you haven't heard that one, I'll send it to you because it's the first 5 minutes of the podcast, because we just started and I said, Kelly, can you tell everyone how we met? And she told the story, which it was just a fun, perfect Bozeman story.
Yeah.
And I was just talking with Peter earlier today. He's from Rainbow Ranch up in Big Sky, and he's fifth generation in Bozeman. So
Awesome.
he went to high school. I'm not going to age him, but it was a while ago. So, so to see what it's become and still have that same, because we were talking about sometimes when a town is so small, it's a little bit invasive how much everyone knows everything. But it's a nice balance because it's still a sizable city,
Yep.
small by some people's standards, but it's big enough where you can, see somebody that you've never seen before every day, but you also can see a lot of people that you know. So I don't know, I think it's a good balance right now. It's a sweet spot.
Agreed. Yeah.
What has this whole journey been like for you? You said you just celebrated a year. How, it's grown to I think you're pretty well known from what I was saying, because I'm pretty distant from social media in a lot of ways just because I don't have it on my phone, but
Sure.
I see your stuff all over the place. I have friends that send me your stuff, screenshots of events going on. And how has that been and how have you handled it? Because I'd imagine from, I don't know, there's probably a lot of attention, good, bad, and indifferent. And
Sure.
how do you manage that?
Yeah, I think it really just feels exciting, and I think it honestly the only real tough thing, and I mean 99.9% of interactions with people have been like glowingly, overwhelmingly positive, and I think part of that is that you know I'm pretty obnoxious with I love this place. I say it to everyone. I've said it to you already 5 times in this podcast of Bozeman's my favorite place in the world, and I think we have the best people in the world here. And um, that excitement I think is palpable for people when I talk about what I'm doing and how I want to help them out too, and really serve this town by shining the best spotlight that I possibly can on people, letting them like kind of visually tell their story just in a pretty short capacity, but being able to do that in a way to where they can connect with people who live here, and to where folks can kind of understand, like we all know there are people behind events and businesses and nonprofits, and when you can connect the story behind those organizations with the person or the people behind them, that's like people love to see that. I love to see that. We all, again, I think it kind of ties back to a big part of old school Montana ethos is just people are so supportive here and want everyone to succeed and win. And I truly believe that. I think there is so much opportunity and resources and choices for people to build so many cool, special things here, and for us to all be really successful at doing that too. So I think the growth has been really exciting. It's gotten to where I feel like I'm having a bit of a tough time just keeping up with how many people I'm trying to talk to and interact with during the week, because I think I'm trying to cover the whole of Bozeman, and that's a good like I don't have a news team or like a staff. Like it is just that there's so much going on where I'm doing my best to cover as much as that I can and get the word out as well as I can. And so no, it's been with regards to how I feel like I'm managing it. um I I'm doing my best. I'm really excited to keep growing it too, and bring on folks to help as well, because I've got a lot of fun things that I want to do with it as we continue to grow too. And at the moment, I'm trying to stay as focused as possible and doing the best job that I can with what we're currently doing. And really, I'm just excited. Like again, it feels like such a special time to be building something in Bozeman that is for people who live here. So
Yeah, as someone who records and produces 2 podcasts a week, I know how much I know how much work it takes to keep your phone on do not disturb. Um, no, but I know how much work it takes to just to edit and produce stuff and put it out there. That's a lot. So how have you managed that? Do you have a team now? Is it just you? Do you have people helping you? Where are you? Because I just imagine it seems like you put a lot of stuff out on a daily, weekly basis, don't you?
yeah, yeah, there's a lot going out, and there's constantly there's a never ending to-do list with it
Yeah.
too, which is also exciting. Like there's nothing on my everything on my to-do list looks exciting to me too, which even in the stuff like you get this, like editing isn't the most fun thing in the world.
Mm.
It's part of it.
That's why I barely do any, folks. It's very raw,
It's like cut,
partially
cut.
by design and partially because I don't have that much time.
Yeah. Well, it's nice with podcasts too, because it's perfect, especially for like I feel like I listen to. I actually don't feel like I've watched a ton of the clips of them, but I love listening to them when I'm just driving or like taking a like trip over to Livingston, or
Yeah.
just like even going to the grocery store, just listening to the stories in that kind of capacity. Like it's like podcasts are perfect for that.
Mhm.
Um So I love that. But no, I'm looking to bring on some new folks pretty soon here to just help ramp things up, because again, there is a lot that I want to do, and that's kind of, I think, the fun sort of second evolution of what Howdy's going to look like, where the first big lesson, which we talked about at the start, was just getting it started
Mhm.
and getting it out and being consistent and working hard and trying to do great work for people, build really great relationships. Like, I was just chatting with someone else today. I feel so lucky and blessed with the quality of uh, the relationships that I have from having started this, and just getting to work with incredible people and build really wonderful friendships with them too, is it's so awesome and so exciting to get to do that. And I think the next evolution beyond, we're a year in, we've been pretty consistent. Um, I think in a short time built a pretty good name for ourselves. And there's just so much more I want to do. I'm sure you feel the same way. I think there's probably a ton of opportunities for us to do some cool stuff together too, as we both are growing as well. And just, I think realizing uh, definitely being capped by it, without having several other people to be able to like help build and bring things to life too, because there ultimately is only so much time at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's yeah, even with the unlimited fuel, right?
Yeah, it's like I've got the fuel,
Yeah,
baby,
yeah.
but if I could get some more time, that'd be awesome.
It's
Could
really
figure out how to not
fun.
have to sleep.
What I've realized in building a team can be really fun is because not only does somebody bring a new perspective, new ideas, but if you can start to show, show somebody else, hey, look, I've got this fuel source. And when you can turn them on, and I guess that's in a lot of senses is how you lead because
Yep.
you're sharing a bigger mission. And then when people attach to that and they can latch on, you're like, yeah, look, this is unlimited, this fuel source. If you want to be on this team and be a part of this, and then it gets really fun, at least what I've seen personally, is when other people take that on and sometimes do things even in a better way than I would have, put their own spin on it. It's just fun. Building a team can be fun. It's also a lot of work like every other good thing is that's worth building.
Hmm.
So, do you have any is there anyone specifically, if anyone listened to this that you're looking for right now? If there was someone like are you looking for editors, producers, just somebody to help organize half the things you're doing?
Yeah, I mean that sounds great. That last piece is just the organizing front, because,
Yeah.
um, yeah, like I'm, wearing all the hats of, doing creative strategy and outreach and putting out the content and researching the content and filming it and editing it and trying to put that into a consistent, organized schedule. So I think and again, at the end of the day, I think what's most important to me is that it's someone who I'm sure you feel the same way of just about any skill can be learned by someone who's interested in and excited by the work. And um, I think the biggest thing the thing that's most important to me is that it's someone who is just as excited about the work that we're doing as I am. Because again, I've got so much excitement and energy to share and to give, and I know what it's like when you don't have that for the work that you're doing. And I would never want to put someone in a position where they're feeling like, oh, it's such a slog to work with Howdy Bozeman. Like, I want them to be just as excited and lit up by it as I am, because it's the joy of my life to get to do this work. And so I think, you know, um, anyone who's bright and has just excitement and energy for what I'm trying to build too, um, I want to talk to you,
Yeah.
and want to connect. And even if that just looks like us sharing some ideas and having a chat, always love making new friends and just meeting new people in the community too, and seeing how I can help them too, because maybe it's not a good fit for them with Howdy, but there's some other business or person I can connect them with where that would be a really perfect fit. Like that's just as exciting for me. But I think that's the main thing is just um I think work is always more fun when you get to do it with people that are on the same team and where you have the same kind of mission and enjoyment and fun together. And that makes all the difference. And I think that's your ultimate kind of competitive edge too, is when you're a team that's has genuine, honest fun with what you're doing too. Like you can't lose.
Yeah, that was very well said, and I couldn't agree more. As someone who's currently hiring,
Yeah.
I've realized I can pay guys well, but the best currency that I want to be able to pay people in is meaning. So if I can create a way for people to give meaning and purpose to what they're doing, the same way I've been able to do for myself. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, I had to ask myself that question: what do I really want? If I wanted a job, if I was going to look for a job, I'd want to find something that's meaningful to me. And and then I just had to ask, I had to flip that around. How can I create that for other people that are going to be a part of our team? Well, I'm going to tell that story and share that mission and preach that day in and day out. Probably to the point where I'm tired of hearing it, but I mean it. So
Yeah.
it's just going to come out of me. But it's really fun when you find people. And I think I'm glad you said it because you're putting it out there. And I'm sure there's people in this valley right now that would be, the perfect fit to just help build and grow and multiply what you're doing.
Yeah. I want
And
to talk to you.
yeah, get over here.
Yeah.
I know when we started, you were saying that I think you were saying as somebody who is up in their head a lot, and it sounds like you're not as much now because you've been able to put this out.
Yeah.
I know you've got a pretty cool video. I think it's what do you call it? It's bookmarked at the top of your Instagram feed. See there, folks? That is a pretty cool quick video of how how much this changed your life. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because it sounds like it gave new meaning and purpose to what you're doing. And it sounds like, at least from what you were saying, but please correct me, that you were more in your head now. And now as you're putting stuff out and you're instead of consuming, you're creating. It sounds like that's been a pretty profound, life-changing thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It has truly changed my life starting running and building this, and that is 1 year into doing it. And I think some of the biggest things there are, yeah, I've always been a dreamer and always had a million ideas and things I was excited by, and also just kept putting them off. And I think I have a million different theories for why that is, and ultimately it doesn't really matter. Like at the bottom of it, it was just I didn't get started, and I didn't start because I felt like it had to be perfect. It had to be just right. It had to be like ready to go and a great success before even getting it started, which is ridiculous. Like anyone who started a business um will laugh at that and find some humor in that, just because it's been the biggest lesson of all the growth happens from doing stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, it's important to analyze what you're doing and take breaks where you can kind of step back and look at what you're doing and think through what can we do better, what are we doing well, and what can we double down on, and how can we continue to grow and move towards the vision and mission that you have for what you're building. And it's totally changed my life on just so many levels. Like it makes me kind of emotional just talking about it, because
Yeah.
it's something where on I mean on so many levels. So on the life front, I feel like I wake up with so much purpose and mission and energy and drive, because truly the thought and question I have in my mind when I'm waking up every day is, how can I serve the people of Bozeman today? And I think just it is, and that's been wonderful for getting out of my head too. Of my focus isn't on myself at all with this. It is absolutely for and that's kind of what I've joked with some people. Of I have in our Instagram bio too, like Bozeman's hype man. And the thing with that is, my interest was never being an influencer with any of this. But what I do like to say is, I don't want to be an influencer, but I do want to be your hype man. And I do, because I just feel that strongly and have that much excitement for the people building and living and creating things here in the valley, and just kind of running through my days of doing all that I can and giving all of my energy, because I'm working on this 24/7, which I know you're doing that with your business too, and that's relatable to most business owners as well. And I think, I totally underestimated how exciting and how much that can change your life when you are really working on something that feels aligned with your heart and your head. And so that's been huge. Relationally, it's been huge. I feel like I've found the best friends I've ever had since starting this and building Howdy, and getting to connect with other people who are building their own special things too. There's just something to that energy of people creating things that is so exciting and kind of intoxicating, of just getting to talk through and explore things and support each other, and just like really working together. It sounds cheesy, but like working together to help us like achieve our dreams. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like I'm trying to do, is make something that can support as many people as possible in getting to live out and build the thing that they're the most excited about and that brings them to life. Because that's what Howdy is for me, and the work that I'm doing with it. And it's just it's been really beautiful getting to build something that has already had, from what a lot of people have told me, a really positive impact on the community. And I'm just excited to double down on all of that and just keep going and keep making it bigger and better. So
It's so cool and so well said. I realize this time and time and time again, and I've had it in so many conversations. The only reason, this is what it is, and what Howdy Bozeman is what it is the people. Because I couldn't sit here for, we're getting close to 100 episodes and talk to myself. I could, and like, there's nothing wrong with that. People do that, and there's a need and a place for that. But all the guests are the community of what makes it what it is, and
yep.
it sounds the exact same for Howdy Bozeman. It's it always comes back to the people, and they make up this community, and it's so cool when people find a way to share that, and it's fun hearing your enthusiasm and joy for it.
Yeah. No, it's so cool to get to connect with you too, because I absolutely love what you're doing as well on that front of, um, just getting to hear those stories, and giving folks a chance to like really kind of take a bit of like a winding path sometimes on their answers too, because um, that's just where you find so much more interesting, fun kind of little tidbits and just pieces of their story, is getting to hear that from in a more kind of spread out manner. So, and I've just heard a ton of people say that too. That's what they really appreciate about what you're doing as well, is getting to hear this long form avenue for people sharing what lights them up. So
I appreciate when people take 15 minutes to answer my question, because I then feel normal, because that's what I do most of the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Usually when I hear so yeah, to answer your question that you asked 15 minutes ago.
That's
But
been a good one. Yeah.
that's where the story is. That's where the personality is brought into the answer, and that's a pretty loaded answer to a simple or broad question, because kind of asking, well, how did you get there? And
Mhm.
that's a fun story. So when the answer can be done with the story, that's when you get to know the person behind the brand or the business. And if anyone hasn't watched it, that the video, that's the reason I reached out to you because I saw that video that
Really?
was bookmarked and just, I don't know, what is it, a minute long or something?
Yeah, like minute long.
And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I didn't know, but I heard you talk about how you put it off, you built it up, and I'm like, "That's cool." That's genuinely where at least half my podcast guests have come from because I've seen something cool and I've reached out, and then from there, a lot have come from referrals because I'll ask guests, "Hey, anyone you recommend, send them my way." But it's genuinely something that interested me or a cool story, so it is cool to spend some more time to really hear what you've done and what you built, and it's just cool to see it. Uh, I recommend everyone do that if they've got an idea, give it a shot, and it's easier said than done, but I feel that it's a privilege to be able to sit down with people that have taken a chance on themselves and built something cool, and I feel lucky that I get to be a part of it and help share the story.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Anything anyone should know about you? What do you do when you're not running Howdy Bozeman and living your life?
um, gosh, it was really fun actually. I just was in the goodness me. It's called the Beast of Bozeman. It's like a talent show the Bozeman's put on
Okay.
at the Emerson the last 4 years or so. And I just got to I kind of tried out on a whim and it worked out. I got in and just got to do that the other weekend, and it was so much fun. Just sang a song for that. But just getting to again like participating in the community too. Like in addition to talking a lot about and like promoting and highlighting what's going on, I really try to go to and get as involved as I possibly can with stuff that's happening too, because it's really fun.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it's great to be able to highlight and show it off, but it's also like the real fun is getting to show up and connect with people in person and just get to be a part of like living in life in Bozeman in 2026
Yeah.
and this year. And that's really where also where I think a lot of the energy and excitement and passion comes from is I'm not just I'm not just throwing this stuff out there on a billboard. Like I'm
Mhm.
deeply involved in the community too and love that. Um and want to do that to inspire other folks to get out and enjoy all that Bozeman has to offer too, because there is so much. There's so much going on all the time, and I just I just want as many people who live here to experience as much of the goodness that this town has to offer as possible. So, um, that takes up a good bit of time. I'm married to the best gal. I've got the best little pup as well. And love spending time with them, and our friend group. And yeah, like really outside of them and my people, like Howdy Bozeman is what I'm really am doing 24/7 largely, and I'm loving it because it's getting to do. I've said this to. I probably also bring this up to everyone I talk to, but it's this Japanese concept called ikigai, and it's like these 4 circles where it's something you love, something you're good at, something that can pay you well, and something you can serve the world with. And at the intersection of all those 4 things is this idea called ikigai, where it's sort of like a life calling or just deeply purposeful, meaningful work for you. And I feel like I have absolutely found that with Howdy Bozeman, to where it feels almost like every day is really just an extension of everything I would want to be doing already. And that is celebrating and connecting with and highlighting and promoting just all the wonderful things and people i- in the valley. And um, I I can't get enough of it. Like I want to do this till I'm dead. Like that is how stoked I am on this. Like I am so deeply committed to Bozeman and locals, and in whatever capacity that looks like for the next 50 years, I fully intend on running it until I'm 6 feet under and passing it on to someone else afterwards so it can keep going. But there's so many more wonderful things that I can't wait to build and throw out. Like we just did, we're doing a thing at the moment. This will probably episode will probably come out after it's done, but we're doing a little contest at the moment where instead of March Madness, we're doing something called Mutt Madness, where it's a little bracket tournament to try to crown and vote for Bozeman's cutest dog, where they're going to face off in like head to heads, and people can vote to crown the cutest dog in Bozeman. And we did like a $10 entry fee, and we're doing it where 100% of all those entry fees get donated to Heart of the Valley Animal Shelter. I think we'll be pretty close to like raising $1,000 by the end of today for them, which is awesome. Great organization, and just getting to do that was something that's fun and different and creative. Of like, why not just? And I think that's something I love about Howdy as well, is that because we're new and scrappy, and excited. Like this is an idea I've had for a while, and it's funny because I kept putting that off too, of thinking I really want to do this, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to execute it perfectly. And then I kind of just it was this Monday. I was like, no, we're putting it out there and getting it out into the world, and um, put it up live on Monday, and yeah, already have almost like 100 entries, and we'll probably have. I'm hoping we hit a perfect like 128 bracket dogs, and I don't know how people are going to pick because there's a lot of cute dogs already that people have put in. But
so is this run the whole month?
It'll run through the end of through the end of the month, and then we'll be able to crown the winner. We're setting up, kind of doing a live in-person finale to crown the ultimate cutest dog in Bozeman for 2026, the Mutt Madness champion.
Now I'm gonna have to streamline the episode because I'm compelled to be a part of it.
It's gonna be great, and even if we are capping the deadline for submissions to the what's today, Friday, so the end of Saturday, just so I'll probably be spending most of Sunday building that bracket and putting it together so people can vote for it. But voting is open to the public. It will be on Instagram through the last 2 weeks of March. So yeah, I'm excited, but all that to say, and that's such a small thing too, but it's creative and fun and something that the community can get involved in, and we're supporting a great cause with it, and just doing that in a way that's different and fun and really effective as well. And that's sort of a lot of my professional background before starting Howdy as well. As much as I'm happy to be out of it, I learned a lot of great skills on how to do effective communications and awareness and PR and marketing, and to get to now bring my creativity to with this great platform that we've built, to be able to do that in a way to make a positive difference for people and businesses and nonprofits in Bozeman, and to be able to move really quick too is just, it's so much fun. So
that's so cool. Like, yeah, you're having such a big impact on the community and in ways probably you didn't even think of. And I feel like when you do tap into that concept and you really get in groove, kind of like we were saying, the fuel's unlimited and the impact can be unlimited too. And that's cool. So, I mean, just for me, like, thank you for what you're doing for the community. It seems like you've got nothing but good things to say about the community and you're having a positive impact. So yeah, thanks for showing up and betting on yourself. And that's, salute to you for doing that. It's very cool.
Thank you. Likewise. Pleasure to be here today.
Yeah. Where can people find you? I know you're on it. It's Howdy Bozeman on Instagram. Where else are you?
Yeah, two best places are the Instagram, just at Howdy Bozeman, and our the other really great thing to be on is a newsletter, which we send out twice a week, and that you can get on that. The link's in our bio on Instagram, or just going to howdybozeman.com, and there's a form on there to subscribe to that too. And that's also a really fun way to just for that's actually really nice too for folks to know about, of if you don't love spending a ton of time on social media. We send out pretty comprehensive, sort of like a planning schedule or itinerary of here's what's going on in Bozeman during the week, and putting that out there in the newsletter too. So for folks who don't want to be spending as much time on social media or aren't on it at all, the newsletter is great too, just for still getting a really solid, curated, thoughtful pulse on just what's happening every week, and also a great way to just stay up to date on what's happening in Bozeman. And that's really another big goal with Howdy as well, is just being a really great, fantastic source of, you want to know what's going on in Bozeman? I'm going to tell you about it in Howdy.
That's so cool. Now that I think of that, I think my sister actually sent me or forwarded me a newsletter. That might have been where I first caught wind of what you were doing, and then I told you I saw the Instagram video, and yeah. So that's, I mean, it's cool. I love all my podcast guests, but the ones I just randomly reach out to because they just feel like I genuinely just wanted to hear about what you do, and
Sure.
those ones are just uniquely special. So that's cool. I think I'm gonna, if I'm not signed up already, I'm going to. So you're gonna have,
Sweet.
at a minimum, you're gonna have one more
Let's go.
newsletter subscriber. Um, I'll post links to stuff. But again, thanks for doing what you do. Much respect, and appreciate you making time to come.
Likewise, man.
Cool.
Thanks for a great
Thanks,
chat
Sam.
today.
Yeah.
Yep.